All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our actual special session for tonight. And thank you very much, Barbara. You look amazing tonight. And again, guys, actually, Barbara have just mentioned that we'll be covering actually a very important topic today: the relationship between money and healthcare. And probably you heard about what I'm gonna say. The next statement I'm gonna say now is health is wealth. And you heard this many times, right? And probably majority of people have a realization, especially during the pandemic, that health is indeed the most important, only secondary probably to money, career, and even to probably our family at some point or some extent. So our job tonight is to give you, our viewers, more expound relationship of money and healthcare in the United Kingdom. My name is Arvin Burgess, one of the national sales director in Genistar. Just to give you a little bit of my background, I'm not a medical doctor, but I was trained to do cardiac surgery. I was one of those people that they called surgical care practitioner and non-medical practitioner who can do cardiac surgery to train junior doctors in the National Health Service. I arrived here in the UK, from the Philippines in 1999 as a nurse, having two suitcases with me. And my original plan really is to work for 2 years and go back and live my dream back home. But to cut the story short, I like living in the UK, and the 2 years did not came fast enough. As you can see, I'm still here. Well, because of many things that I really like in the United Kingdom, and one of them really is the National Health Service. I worked with the NHS for 15 years, and my last 8 years working, I was actually, as I've said, a cardiac surgical care practitioner, and I was in the front line in doing cardiac surgery, delivering actually a free healthcare from the point of delivery and until discharge, which only a dream of us actually in the Philippines, because in that part of the world, that means that what it's not health is wealth. It's different actually. We reverse that. Wealth is health. And what do I mean about that, guys? Is like this: to access healthcare, you need to have money. Meaning, many people in the Philippines are deprived on that healthcare system because the health care is expensive. Now, while the NHS, what is actually great about the NHS, as I've said? Well, the NHS fixes you. The NHS delivers actually a high quality patient care. It's simply world class, guys. The National Health Service put patient first, regardless of your background or ethnicity. The NHS actually is blessed with very talented actually people who provides a world class care, and most people stays there until they retire for many years because they love and work in the National Health Service because they consider that as a family. Well, the NHS continuously actually making a difference, and then don't get me wrong, I love the NHS. That is why I stayed and worked there from 1999 to 2014 before I came full time in Genistar. But all healthcare system faces challenges as well. The NHS actually is great, and all of us probably love it. But what are the challenges today that the NHS is facing? The number one that I can share with you guys is because of the increase of number of the population in the UK, the increased number of the elderly in the UK needing help. The biggest problem of someone who's recipient of the care of the National Health Service is the delays. Now, if I will show you actually another reason why of that delays is actually during the pandemic, right? If you can see that one, what's the impact of COVID in the healthcare provisions? Look at this. The NHS actually have actually in the figure of April 2020 have showed about 11,042 patients have been waiting for 52 weeks. And what's 52 weeks? That's about a year, guys, waiting for their operations and other procedures, and compared to April with 1,047 and the previous year, a tenfold increase. It has been widely actually reported that in the press that some experts believe that number of people waiting in the NHS operation could rise from the pre-pandemic 4.4 million to 10 million by the end of 2020. Now, what's the most important thing here, guys? If there are delays, what does it mean to us? Let me give you some examples. If there's a few delay treatment of a chest pain, for example, that's a chest pain, it's typical chest pain. For example, if you delay that for a few weeks of the diagnosis, that could cause actually a heart attack happen more actually immediately. But if you have actually detected that earlier through your GP, that will be avoided. Another example is very close to my heart is the aortic aneurysm. You know, aortic aneurysm, guys, is the weakening of the arteries of your aorta, of your biggest artery of the human body. Now, if the GP fails to diagnose this in the earlier stage, just few months, the aneurysm could grow to 4.5 to 5.5 centimeter, and that's already actually a critical stage for surgery. And if that ruptures, that could actually cause a sudden death for that particular patient. And lastly, let me give you a very outstanding actually statistic here. Breast cancer. Do you know that in 2020 there are 2.26 million women diagnosed with breast cancer, and 685 of that actually is cause of death globally. And in the UK alone, there are 56,000 new cases of breast cancer every year. That's 150 cases every day. Now, listen to this. If diagnosis is delayed for 6 or more months, the patient health will be worsened. Their treatment now will not just actually require a surgical removal, but it will now actually require chemotherapy, radiotherapy combined. And because of the delay on the diagnosis and treatment, the survival rate will be lower as well. So what does delay means to you and your family? Well, let me give you an example. We will play actually a short video for you to watch about this particular aspect if there's a delay on a certain actually treatment there. Devin, could you play that next one?
I had to be pushy to get the answers, to find out what was going on. It's terrifying to think if I hadn't been, could my cancer have advanced? The doctor on the phone couldn't give me any more information. So I knew I had cancer, but I didn't know how bad it was. I didn't know if I would be here to see my children go to school. I'm Toria and I'm a nurse living in Worcestershire, and this is my story of being diagnosed with cancer during the pandemic. So it all started at the beginning of March when I found a lump in my abdomen. So I went to the GP the next day. After I had the scans, my GP actually rang me and said, look, good news, it looks like it's benign. We were put into lockdown then. So we were at home with the children, and I just felt like I could feel it growing, and I didn't know if that was my mind, but I was in so much pain, I knew I needed to go in. So I went in, and the next day I had emergency surgery and had the tumour removed. So the weeks went by, I hadn't heard anything after the surgery, and I was told I'd just have a follow-up. And I thought, well, like, no news is good news, but I will just ring so I can tick it off. So I phoned the doctors and said, I was just checking. They said, had nobody phoned you? And I said, no, I haven't heard anything. So I presumed everything was fine. And he said, actually, I'm really sorry, it's come back that it is malignant. And the doctor on the phone couldn't give me any more information. So it was 5 weeks from my surgery to finding out that it was cancer. And I just needed more information. I needed to know, will I be there to take the boys to school for their first day? Will I be here for my next birthday? You hear about ovarian cancer and how dangerous it can be, and I just needed to know, how bad is it and what are we going to do next? And not having that information was terrifying. So they said to me after my surgery that due to the pandemic and the delay in the labs that there might be a slightly longer delay in waiting for the histology, but they weren't worried at that time because they thought it was benign. And I believe there was some miscommunication, possibly due to the fact that the pandemic and people being so busy. I know how busy the nurses and doctors are working, but I knew I had to be pushy to get the answers, to find out what was going on. It's terrifying to think if I hadn't been, what might have happened, what my situation could have been, could my cancer have advanced in that time if it had been left longer.
So one of the alarming statistic as well, actually, that I've actually read by preparing actually this particular presentation. The NHS has 2.7 beds per 1,000 of the population. Is that alarming? Indeed, that means delay. So how can we be in control with our healthcare? Well, in the Philippines, majority of people do that if you have money to pay for it. Now, if you don't have money, this will result to delay of healthcare. If worse, avoid healthcare totally. Just to let you know, guys, I said to you guys that aortic aneurysm is close to my heart. The reason being on that one is my father died with aortic aneurysm at the age of 57. And if this is just very young, actually, at the young at 57, but the reason why for that is because of not early detecting it. We don't have that access there. And it's that the same happens with the UK as well. If you don't detect those illnesses, okay, because of the delays, that could happen. But let me show you guys how could actually, if you could be in control with your healthcare and you pay for it, you got the means to pay for it. Now, an average cost of a cancer claim, actually, that will be, how much do you think will actually cost you that? Are you surprised with that amount there? 17,000. How about actually if someone will go for knee replacement? How much would that be, would you think? 16,000. The next one, probably, let's just say, an elderly population needs this hip replacement. That's all. How much do you think they will pay if they want to fast track their treatment? Guess how much would that be? That's 15,000. Now, in addition to those treatments, there are also actually added worry, ensuring that you are seeing most appropriate consultant. You need to get that consultant that you want, okay? And you have no choice to do that one because of you need to wait until for the treatment. But the most important part is these are just average numbers that we're showing you today, because cancer treatment, for example, can go beyond that, 17,000 that we showed you. Now, insurance can help you provide actually the peace of mind for that, okay? So that you can avoid delays, you can actually avoid those unnecessary delays for your treatment. Health is indeed wealth. So if a family member is suffering for an illness like cancer, it's not just health actually that we're worried about. It's also involved our financial aspect. If someone is ill and the income is affected, but the issue can be prevented by planning ahead and avoid delays on your health, by being in control with your healthcare through the access to a private healthcare. So is this possible? And to discuss this with you in details, we really need to expose you in this one, because I would like to introduce to you so that we can actually explore more the alternatives there, because health is wealth indeed. So I would like to introduce to you our top senior vice president, good looking, but I'm more good looking, I think. Okay, by the way, he's a young man, and this young man's first love really, guys, is National Health Service. His background is a medical doctor and been a practicing GP for a few years. But we are blessed because he's now one of our colleagues in Genistar, doing amazing things in helping people. So with no further ado, let me hand over to you, Doc, our Senior Vice President, Bevin Witt. Doc, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arvin. A great presentation, and wow, some of those stats and statistics that you went through are chilling. And that story, I don't know about those of you at home right now, I'm feeling emotional about the story that she brought up. So Arvin just took you through, could we pay for it ourselves? But wow, look how much it costs for an average knee replacement surgery. Do you have a spare £16,000 sitting around? I know I haven't got that spare just for a knee replacement, and I could do that having an injury playing football. So the impact of healthcare insurance and what it can do for you and your family is incredible. So what is private healthcare? Or we also call it PMI. Well, PMI is private medical insurance, okay? And this gives you quick access to private facilities and treatments. It helps to pay for any high expected private medical bills that you maybe need to be covered. And this could be from anything from physiotherapy, okay, to major heart surgery. You see, PMI plays an important role in also identifying the early diagnosis of critical conditions. So can you see how important PMI or private healthcare is and the options you can have by having it? So what part does private healthcare play? Well, private healthcare is designed to work alongside, and let me repeat that, alongside all the services offered by the NHS. So going private doesn't mean you forsake using the NHS. In fact, they're meant to work together. Just like this image, you can see it fits in the piece of the puzzle right there. You see, private healthcare focuses on providing quicker access to treatment for acute conditions. So those are the conditions where we know the patient can be reasonably be expected to return to their previous state of health through short-term treatment. Okay, so this is the benefit of private healthcare and how it works together with the NHS. It's not to replace it. So let me speak about some of the misconceptions. Some of the things that you would have gone through your mind, somebody may have told you, you may have been thinking about going private. You know, maybe sometime, maybe could have been this year, last year. I know during the pandemic, I was thinking a lot about going private. I don't know about you at home. But you may have heard some of these misconceptions. You may have heard that, oh, private healthcare is too expensive. Who's heard that one? Yeah. Well, take a look at the reality. The reality is that 77% of families said health is the most important thing. See, I'm going to talk to you about the true cost of having healthcare in a few slides' time. But have a think about this. What's the cost on being healthy? They say that wealth without health is pointless. So is it really too expensive? Is it really too expensive to put and have something in place where your health is the #1 priority? Let's have a look at the second misconception. PMI is seen as a luxury as the NHS is free. Well, let's take a look at that. Well, 1 in 10 adults in the UK, okay, have moved and turned to the private sector just within the last 12 months. And this was according to a survey commissioned by the charity Engage Britain. And of those 1 in 10, almost 2/3, 63% did so because they were facing long delays, just like what we heard from the nurse in the earlier video, or they could not have access to the treatment they needed on the NHS. Does that sound like a luxury product right there? It doesn't sound like that to me. Having to wait too long or because you couldn't actually get treatment on the NHS. Doesn't sound much of a luxury. So the third misconception is, oh, I will not have access to the NHS anymore. Well, as we've learned earlier, this is not always the case, as the NHS will still be available to you if you're eligible, okay? So remember, the private healthcare works alongside the NHS and is not a replacement. So you'll still have access to the NHS. And the fourth one I hear quite a lot, and you know, some of you might be thinking this also, where it talks about, I still need to go through my NHS GP. And the wait times to get an NHS GP appointment are long and difficult to schedule. Yes, I know, you know, sometimes you call up your GP and they're telling you to come in a week or 2 weeks, or it's just not able to fit around your schedule because, you know, of work and other commitments. Well, the reality with private healthcare is that that's not necessarily the case, as one of the benefits of having private medical insurance with most providers is that you can have access to contacting a private healthcare GP within 48 hours. So you can see that you'll be able to have access to getting what you need seen to as soon as possible. So can you see the misconceptions are very different from the reality that is posed. So we're going to have a little bit of fun now. I really like engagement, and you know, just to get your mind flowing about what the real true cost of having a private healthcare policy would look like. So I'm going to ask you a few questions now, okay? So on your screen, there's going to be a poll that comes up on your screen. And I would like you to, there's 3 questions and we're going to ask them in quick succession, okay? So make sure you're quick, make sure you've got access to your phone or your computer right now, because there's a question is going to come up on your screen. And the question right now says, what is the average cost for a family to go and watch a film right now per trip? What do you think the average cost is? Is it £50, £45, you know, £40, £35? What do you think is the average price for you to go and watch a film right now? They're saying that, you know, Black Panther 2 is coming out in November. I'm planning to go and watch Black Panther 2. What do you think that would cost a family of 4 to go and watch? Great. I can see so many of you are voting right now. Great. And at the moment, you know, 55% of you are saying £50. You know, 23% of you are saying £45. You know, 15 are saying 40. I'm just going to keep it open just for a few more seconds. All right. All right, I'm going to end that one. The answers will be revealed shortly, but I'm going to end that poll. Thank you for those of you that voted on that one. If you missed out, don't miss on the second question, because the second question I'm going to ask you, I'm launching the poll now, is what do you think the monthly cost of buying a cup of coffee is daily? What do you think the average cost monthly is buying a cup of coffee daily? Please vote now. Do you think it's £60? Do you think it's £52.50? Do you think it's £40 a month? Or do you think it's £35 per month? All right, keep those votes coming in. What do you think the average cost is to buy a cup of coffee daily? All right, brilliant. The overall winners looking so far, many people are saying £60 a month so far. £60 is winning, followed by £52.50. Not many of you are saying £35. Coffee is really expensive these days. All right, brilliant. All right, I'm going to close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you for those of you that participate in that one. Keep your answers. I hope you're remembering what your answers are. And here is the final question for this section. What do you think the average monthly cost of a mobile phone bill is? Please vote now. What's the average cost of a mobile phone bill? All right, is it £50? Is it £46? Is it £37? Or is it £30? All right, brilliant. Get that. I can see. Wow, I'm so pleased. So many of you are engaging on this. It's great, man. No, wow. The winner so far looks like £46, but it's closely matched by £50. Not many of you are saying £30. Wow, most of you must have the new iPhone 14, right? You know. Great. All right, we are going to keep this open just for a few more seconds. Thank you for those of you participating. I'm going to close it out in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you so much for those of you that participated in the poll. And now I'm going to reveal the question. So I hope you remembered your answers. So the true cost of PMI. So the average cost for a family to go and watch a film, let's see if you got this right, is £45 per trip. So give yourself a pat on the back if you said £45 per trip, okay? The average cost for buying a cup of coffee daily is £40 per month. So those of you that said 40, is actually £40 per month to buy in a cup of coffee daily. So who on here is 2 for 2? Who is 2 for 2 so far? Who's feeling really good about themselves? Brilliant. I can see a couple of hands raised. So let's see if you've got the hat trick. The average monthly price for a mobile telephone bill is £37 per month. Who got that right? Who got 3 out of 3? Who got 3 out of 3? Well done to those of you that got 3 out of 3. Who got 0 out of 3? Don't tell me. It's okay. It's okay. But you can see, and these are things that we would consider luxuries, extras, you know, in what we do. But did you know the average cost of a private healthcare core policy, which would have covered cancer costs, hip replacements, knee replacements, heart surgery if you needed it, the average cost for getting that put in place can start from as little as £35 per month. £35 per month, and you can get this cover put in place. Now, I'm sure that answers the question that you have in regards to, is it too expensive? Well, our mobile phones and buying a cup of coffee are more expensive than this. See, what would you and or your family consider to be more important? Okay, so the true cost of what PMI is. You see, this is what's important to our clients. You see, our private healthcare clients, this is what they see important. What's important to them is they have access to fast medical care, okay? They want something that's easy to understand. They want something that's easy when you want to make a claim, and something that's quick to process. So in other words, they're looking for speed and ease. You see, the last thing you're thinking about, and you know, we never want this to happen to anyone, but when you're ill, I was in the position where I had surgery this year on my leg. And the only thing I was thinking about is, when am I going to get better? When is my leg going to get better so I can walk properly? When can I leave these crutches one side? You see, I wasn't even thinking about how much it cost at that point. The only thing I was thinking about is, when can I get better and when can I get back to normal? So can you see why private healthcare insurance is one of the fastest growing financial services product in the UK? Can you see why there's a demand and need for it? Well, if you're like these healthcare clients and you now can see the importance, and you would like some more information on how you can potentially take a look at if this is something that you would need, well, why not speak to the person that invited you to this webinar tonight? Ask them for a complimentary financial plan that will take a look at your situation, especially the private healthcare need, and really help you plan towards having a holistic look at how your finances truly look right now. Now, some of you may be thinking, Bevan, this sounds great. I would love to get private medical insurance, but I still feel it's still a bit of a stretch on my finances. Well, I also have an alternative for you. If you need an opportunity to make more income so you can put something like private healthcare in place, here at Genistar, we can offer to you 3 income opportunities where you can earn an additional income by referring us for people that who want private medical insurance or who need help with their finances, and you can get paid an income just for referring. And who knows that income now can be used for your own private medical insurance policy. okay? You can also be a part of us as a part-time business partner, you know, and we can teach you and train you on how you can look not only at private medical care, but all the different range of products and services we offer through our financial education, just by coming to work with us, just 6 to 8 hours per week, just part-time, and building yourself a great part-time income. And we also offer the opportunity to you to also become a business owner. Okay, so you can have your own business like myself, like Barbara, and like Arvin, where we've now moved away from the NHS, and now we are business owners here at Genistar, creating financial independence and leaving a legacy for our families. If you're interested in knowing how you can make these income opportunities, whether it's just referring, part-time, or becoming a business owner, I'm going to give you the opportunity now to indicate what would you like to do. Let's us help you to take the first step in changing that situation. So here's another poll, and I promise you just one question this time. That's going to come up on your screen. And that question is simply going to ask you, which of these areas are you most interested in getting more information about? Are you more interested in getting a financial plan where we can really help you? Are you interested in knowing more about earning additional income? Or are you interested in a career or business change? Or is it all of the above? So please vote now. Please tell us what you are interested in. This is the serious question of the night. This is the most serious question of the night. What is it that you are interested in? Is having a plan so we can really help to shape you and find out what you would need some help in, and possibly even if you could get a healthcare plan? Or is that you would like a healthcare plan and making a part-time income, or a career change? Or are you saying to me, Bevan, all of the above? All right, great. I can see many of you have voted. Thank you so much for those of you. I can still see that some of you haven't voted yet. I can still see there's a little bit of, you're still pondering, but I encourage you. Let me help you to make the first step. We are into October now. We're into the last quarter of the year, okay? And we're here to help you to still let you have an even better 2022 than what you're having right now. So I'm just going to leave the poll open just for a few more seconds. So you've only got a few more seconds just to get those votes in, just to tell us where we can help you. At the moment, I can tell you that all of the above is the one that's winning by a country mile. We've got, of course, followed by, interested in knowing more about part-time income and the financial plan, followed by the career change. All right, so I'm going to count you out now. You've only got 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, thank you for those of you that participated in the poll. I really appreciate you engaging with me and also letting me know you're still there listening to me. So thank you for sharing with us and being with us this evening. I hope you got a lot from what we've taught here about the relationship between money and healthcare and the importance that it brings. I'm now going to turn it back over to Barbara Anderson, and she's going to tell you what's going to happen next week. Is our final week next week of this series of how to combat the cost of living. And I'm going to turn it back to Barbara so she can tell you what is coming up next week. So over to you, Barbara.
Thanks so much, sir. Thank you as well, Arvin. You guys were awesome. And listen, our guests, we really want to thank you this evening for taking the time to come on. So what's happening next week, guys, is it just doesn't end here. We have another session for you. We know with everything else that's happening, mental health has become like a really serious concern for a lot of people. We see it happening with our young children. We see it with people we're close to, people we love. Things have just gotten real challenging when it comes to this area. So we've got our awesome colleague who is going to be running a session on that. He's quite versed in this area as well. And he will be covering some of the challenges and some of the things that, can really help you and empower you or even help you to work with somebody that you're going to see out there who need this kind of help. And again, these sessions weren't just designed for us to just, be calling you to make money and all of that. We also want to be able to give back. This is kind of our giving back time. So I would say to you, hey, listen, scan the QR code at the bottom, get registered. You'll also get this recording at some point, but we really want to thank you this evening. I hope you've scanned the QR code. We're really, really going to look forward to having a conversation with you, for you to really hear some more about where we're headed. And we really want to thank you again for listening to us this evening. Have an awesome evening. And the person who invited you, hey, get in touch with them, ask them some questions. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to connect with you. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And we look forward to seeing you at the next session. Thanks again to my awesome colleagues who've supported us this evening for this call. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.